Hey guys, this is Kami Ken, and I'm gonna get right into it. I don't finish most of the manga or anime that I start, or even most of the comics that I start. And there's a good reason for that. I think a lot of the manga that I begin reading or consuming, they end up losing me at some point along the line. It starts off really interesting. It starts off trying to hook you in, bring you into the story, and then after a while it just either I lose interest or I get too busy in life, or the story itself is just not interesting anymore. It falls off. I don't know what it is, but some invisible force is keeping me from finishing the stories that I started off really into. And there's only a handful of anime and manga that I've actually seen the end of, that I've actually read up until the final chapter or read up until the end. But those are usually anime stories where I'll watch the anime until the end of its run, or until they just stop producing anime content, and then I'll never go to the manga to finish the actual story. That's happened with Gintama. There's this one called Sket Dance from back in the day, and a whole bunch of other manga and anime I can't really even name right now. A lot of them are just really good at the beginning, at the outset, and really draw me in. Like Demon Slayer is like really great. First 2 or 3 seasons are just really solid, and now this fourth season is kind of losing me a little bit, but it's still good. It's just, all right, they're gonna fight another demon with the Hashiras, and then I mean they're gonna defeat it, you know, but I mean they're not gonna lose, so well, there's got to be some other element to it that's gonna make it more exciting or more interesting, that will pull me in and make me want to know what happens next. I mean, it's the same with Dragon Ball Z. It's like they're gonna fight a new enemy. New enemy's gonna come out of nowhere. It's obviously gonna be stronger than the main characters for a little bit, and then Goku's gonna get a new transformation, a new power up. Gohan's gonna come in there, maybe. Vegeta's gonna get a new power up, but then eventually Goku will just save the day, and that'll be that. It's like, what is there to get excited about? Like, what's interesting about the next chapter or whatever's coming? And I would say that for a lot of manga, especially like really long running manga, I didn't watch most of it, or I didn't read most of it. So with Naruto, I watched the first half of Naruto when it premiered on Toonami, and then I watched whatever premiered on Disney Channel when it came over, and then I just kind of dropped off of it for a long time, and I would just watch fights here and there. I would just pick and watch fights here and there, and try to get a little bit of context for them, but not really delve too deep into what's happening into the story. And then I read most of the chapters up until the ending, and then I stopped with Boruto. Fuck Boruto. I'm not even gonna watch that show, man. I'm not even gonna talk about that right now. But I'm just saying, like, I consumed a good bit of Naruto to understand what it was trying to do, but I didn't need to see all of it to really get the full effect. Same with Bleach. I was really into the beginning of it. I was really into the Arrancar arc, and I got to the end of the Hueco Mundo arc, and then I just sort of dropped off. It was just like fight after fight after fight, without really anything to draw me in and get me interested in what was happening. So it feels like with a manga or an anime or even a comic, once I get the excitement or the feeling that they're trying to give to me at the beginning of the story or throughout the story, then it's almost like I don't need it anymore, and I just sort of drop the series or shelve it or put it away. And if I like the art, I'll just buy it for the art. and if I'm not really that into it, I'll just not really go back to it again. It's weird. And I wonder if any of y'all are like this, where you start a series and you start off strong, you're like really into it, and then you just stop reading it for whatever reason, and you find something more interesting, more engaging, and then you just like glom onto that for a while and really get into that. Like with Chainsaw Man, I'm basically all caught up. With One Piece, I'm all caught up, but there hasn't been anything that has really made me read until the end since Attack on Titan. And I don't care what anybody says about the ending, because that ending was controversial. It was like a love it or hate it type ending, but I loved it because and I'm not gonna say anything deep about it, but for me, it solidly wrapped up the story, and it did what it was supposed to do. So that's all I'm going to say about the ending of Attack on Titan. But that was one of those series that it kept escalating and escalating and escalating, and it got better as time went on. It got more complex for sure. I was confused at times, but by the end, I was actually still fully engaged. And even though I let months and even years go by for it to I guess build up more chapters, because it was a monthly series, I would still check back on it and see what they were doing, like see what they were premiering in their chapters. And I remember at the beginning I read the first 50 chapters in like a week, and I was so into it that I failed a math test when I was in high school because of it. I was just so into it. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. This is the most amazing thing I've ever read. And yeah, that was one of the only series that was able to draw me in from beginning to end, and I would make time for it and read it. But most other series, it's like they don't have too many dimensions of storytelling that they can really enter into that makes it interesting read. It's like how I was mentioning with Demon Slayer. There's maybe a couple dimensions of depth that they can really enter into, is the demons and then the slayers. That's it. It's like they're gonna go and try to slay the demons, and they're gonna beat them, and that's it. But then with One Piece, I'm all caught up on One Piece, and well, not really. I'm letting some chapters kind of build up before I go in and binge. But I'm so into One Piece because there's so many dimensions and directions it can go into, that there can be an infinite number of spin-offs of One Piece, and it would never. You can make it's an infinite money machine. I'm gonna just say it's an infinite money machine. Like people who talk about One Piece make money from One Piece. One Piece isn't just itself anymore, and now there's gonna be a live-action Netflix show and all that stuff. So, but my point is that there's so many different dimensions of interest to go into with One Piece that makes you think and wonder on your own, that you're just like, man, I wonder what they're gonna do next with this show, or what they're gonna do in this aspect or in this aspect. It's not just Luffy going to an island and beating an evil dictator and then moving on. It's like, it's so much more than that. It's so much more to explore about it, which is why I'm still engaged in it and still keep going. With Dragon Ball, it was just about the next big main bad villain comes up, and then Goku and friends have to fight him. But up until the Buu saga or the Buu arc, it was actually, there was emotional consequences, and it was actually like serious, like there are serious ramifications for losing the battle or like getting killed and whatnot. And everything after that, like during Super, was just like whatever. Like, okay, a new bad guy pops up, we're gonna fight him, Goku's gonna beat him, and then that's it. Like, there's no dimension to it. There's just one dimension. There's gonna be a fight, and the main villain's gonna be defeated. That's it. and maybe there's a consequence or a stake to it, and maybe there's not, you know. But that's why I find keeps me interested in stories long after the premiere or hook. It's like it has to get more complex. It has to get more meaningful or have more depth in order for me to read until the end. And that's mainly if it's a really, really long series. Not necessarily if it's just a 30 or 40 chapter series. I can easily read that and enjoy it and get meaning out of it. But for something like, let's say, like Invincible, I read all the way to the end because it was just, I want to see how everything's going to wrap up, how they're going to beat this guy, or how they're going to wrap up this plot thread. Like it got complex. It got more and more complex over time as it went on, and it delivered on the promises of its beginning, of its premise, of its hook, and it just kept leaving all these threads everywhere, so that you're just like, oh man, what's gonna happen next? Like, what's the next thing that's gonna happen? So yeah, that was the reason why I was able to finish this. Also, the art just carried me all the way through. I was just like, man, I want to see what's gonna go down. And luckily, it was a comic book that actually finished. A lot of comics don't finish in the industry. I know because I have friends that have worked on them, that have worked on comics that just start and then they just kind of drift off as the writer finds more profitable projects to work on and that kind of thing. So, and I'll talk about that later on, like talk about how the comic industry is actually run and how it's not as I guess you could say like clockwork. It's not as business-like as you would think looking from the outside in. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on why I don't finish most manga series and anime and whatnot and comics. And yeah, let me know if you experience the same thing with what you read, with what you enjoy. Do you finish most things, or you just kind of let them settle as you lose interest and find something more interesting? So that's it, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.